Okay, we're continuing with the quote book, Holy Grail Wisdom Quotes by me, Pete Rogers, and we're doing Viktor Frankl. We're going in alphabetical order. He lived from 1905 to 1997, and he was in the concentration camps in Germany in World War II. And here's some of his quotes. He said, "The gas chambers were ultimately prepared in the lecture halls of nihilistic scientists and philosophers." So through atheistic scientists and philosophers. And that's a big thing, because once you deny the Bible, the dignity of man, man created in the image of God, and then you start going down that path of atheistic Darwinism, what you're saying is that he's just a monkey. He's just a monkey who talks. And so, I'm a little bit tired because this is so obvious. It's so obvious. See, one of the things I think is a very typical sign of stupidity, and there's maybe some blessing in it, is that, in my experience, stupid people think the world likes them, even though, they're poor and they're stupid. They think the world likes them, whereas an intelligent person knows the world's hostile to them. And that's good to recognize the world is hostile to you, because you're less likely to make a chump of yourself. You'll still make mistakes, but you're less likely to walk into them like chumps always do. Okay, so what am I trying to say is, the same thing is happening nowadays. It's even worse. Atheistic Darwinism is now the controlling philosophy of the public school system, the high school system, the college system, the graduate school system. And it's done that way on purpose. There's very rich people that control the world more even than countries do, okay? And they look around and they say there's too many darn people, okay? They're polluting the sky, they're polluting the rivers, the lakes, everything. They just make a mess of everything. Their numbers, the world would be a better place if their numbers were reduced. Okay, so how could you reduce their numbers? Well, the biggest problem as they see it is the white Christian men, because they think of them as highly competent, and they are the ones they're going to want to start all this Christianity stuff, all this freedom stuff, all men are equal in the eyes of God stuff. And so therefore, they are the group that is the number one target to get rid of, okay, in order to bring back slavery and to cull the herd, so to speak, and decrease numbers. Because they think that women are weak and stupid, easy to control. They actually want and divorce them to get more money, because they figure that they will waste it and just do something stupid with it. And they're easy to control. They have no physical strength. They're emotional. They can easily be controlled and put into slavery. Okay, that's how it has been historically. Women never defend their town, their city, their country, and keep it, free. All right. They figure all the other ethnic groups, there's either not that many of them, or they can just pay off a couple people at the top, or they can control them, or they're weak, or they're atheist. They think they're all can be controlled or paid off. Okay, but they only think the white Christian man, he's the only one that they see as an obstacle. Therefore, he has to be destroyed, because if he's not destroyed, he's going to want freedom, he's going to want rights, he's going to want all this stuff. He's the troublemaker of 1776 with the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. So everything has to be geared at getting rid of him, because once he's gone, everyone else will be easy to force into slavery or do whatever they want to. Okay? So that's how it all works. I just tell you that because if you're ever trying to understand why is some policy seem contradictory or whatever, that's the reason. Okay? That's the reason why, too. They pretend to like minorities because they can use them to push down the white Christian man, but not because they actually want to help them. They don't really care about minorities. They have no respect for them whatsoever. They just say that because they can use them to destroy the white Christian man, because they see him as the only real obstacle to bringing, Kyle, then the moon, then the East to the USA. All right? And so that's why everything is designed that way. And they call it a broom to to turn all the others against him and to bring in others that want to destroy him and destroy his country. Because look at all the Western countries that are being destroyed. The purpose of the Ukrainian war was to, kill all the white Christian men. Okay, and that's exactly what happened. Okay, and the purpose, up until recently, that's what the way USA looked like it was going. Australia, same thing. New Zealand, same thing. England, same thing. Ireland, same thing. They're trying to do that all throughout Europe, and it's succeeding in a lot of places, more in some places than others. So anyways, what I'm trying to tell you is this is happening right now, and just most Christians are so stupid. They're jealous of each other. They don't help each other. I mean, there's lots of exceptions to that, but that's why they're so weak. Despite being the biggest religion in the entire world with the most members, I think it's like 2.2 billion, they're weak, stupid, petty, jealous, and don't help each other for the most part. Yes, there's lots of exceptions, but I'm just saying that's what's going on. Okay, so Viktor Frankl continues. Everything was taken from them. You only got to keep the knowledge in your brain, your body, and your shoes. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The quest for meaning is the key to mental health. Yeah, and Thomas Schaus would say the same thing. You have to have a purpose in your life to energize you, because you're going to get all the bad stuff. You can't escape the bad stuff. You're going to see the sad things. Your parents are going to die. People you love and care about are going to die. And you're going to suffer injuries and age and all this stuff. So you want to have something that sort of makes it worthwhile. So that's why it's good to have some big goal beyond yourself to energize you to do the best you can with your life. You know, if you're a teacher, that could be to help your students. If you're a coach, that could be to help your athletes. Whatever it might be, because a lot of times going beyond yourself, you end up doing more and you end up being happier. Okay. You know, McDougall said that. You know, he's happiest when he's helping patients. Okay. Viktor Frankl. Ever more people today have the means to live but no meaning to live for. The meaning of my life is to help others find meaning in theirs. Meaning is our strength. Our survival may depend on our seeking and finding it. Okay, so these are pretty basic things to sophisticated philosophy. You know, self-knowledge is the path to knowledge of others. Okay, having a purpose and a meaning in your life beyond yourself, especially in some form of helping other people, that helps you to do so much more with your life. It just is the way it is. You have to want to do it and you have to figure out what it is, but that'll make you happier and that'll give you more resilience. You can endure more when you are that way. If we can find some meaning and put it in the center of our lives, even the worst suffering becomes bearable. Man's search for meaning is the chief motivation of his life. Once an individual's search for meaning is successful, it not only renders him happy, but it also gives him the capability to cope with suffering. And Dostoevsky had noticed something similar when he was in the concentration camps. The guys who had some type of, happy memories from childhood or had some big goal that they wanted to accomplish in their life despite their current difficulties, they did a lot better. The people who had a loss of hope, they just faded out. Viktor Frankl, you don't create your sense of meaning, you detect it. I would say actually you look at your abilities, you look at what you like, and then you look at your current situation, your context, and you say, well, what's possible? I'll go for the best thing that's possible. And if you do that, and you try, you really try, you tried, you did the best you could, you'll respect yourself and you'll like yourself. I mean, same old thing, like the Schopenhauer quote. You forget about having a happy life, try for a heroic life, and then you'll respect yourself and like yourself and you'll be happy. It's kind of how it works. Life is not a quest for pleasure, as Freud thought, or for power, as Alfred Adler thought, but it is a quest for meaning. Okay, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. You don't want to feel your life was a waste of time. You want to try to feel that you did something useful to the best of your ability, given your situation. Okay. When a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. Yeah, that's what I see too, is people go away from Christianity, they go into atheism, then they just want to get drunk or stoned or have promiscuous relationships. But the problem is that eventually sort of doesn't work, and then they'll often have a bad time in their life, and it's very hard for them to bounce out of it. I've seen lots of atheists just commit suicide or become drug addicts or become alcoholics, and they almost never achieve much. Look at the arts, literature, painting, sculpture. They all stink, okay? If you think life has no meaning, how are you going to write a meaningful book or make a meaningful painting? If that's your take on the world, that's all your brain can guide you to, everything is meaningless, well then you're meaningless, okay? So you don't want to be that way. It leads to despair and to failure. Okay, if on the other hand you say, my purpose is something good and you pursue it, you got a much better chance of doing something useful and good. Okay, Viktor Frankl, love is the ultimate highest goal that a man can aspire to. An abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal behavior. Viktor Frankl. Despair is suffering without meaning. Viktor Frankl. Man is ready and willing to shoulder any suffering as soon and as long as he can see a meaning in it. The more one forgets himself by giving to a cause to serve or another person to love, the more human he is and the more he actualizes himself. Okay, self-actualization is only possible as a side effect of self-transcendence. Okay, so you basically get lost in the activity if you like it. Like I'll just talk about myself. My kid said to me, this is years ago now, he He said, Dad, why are you so happy? He says, out of all the people in the family, you have the worst life. All you ever do is work at the hospital. And then when you're not at the hospital, you come home, you're reading, you're studying, you're writing your books or making a video or something. He goes, why don't you do something fun? Why don't you go to the beach with Mom? Why don't you, go to a party or whatever it is, okay? And I'm like, look, I'm happy. This is sort of what I feel is my destiny, to write books and teach through the internet or whatever. So that makes me happy, And so what I'm trying to say is it's an individual's decision about their own life, what they think is their purpose and what makes them happy. But because I like it, I'm happy, and I can produce a lot in this area because it's what I want to do. And it's easy for me because I enjoy it. So everybody's got to find that for himself. I'm glad I found this, Not that I haven't had plenty of problems in my life, but at least I got something I like that keeps me busy. So I think that's the question everybody's got to figure out for themselves, and hopefully America will stay free. Hopefully it'll become more free, more prosperous. Hopefully it'll have more Christian ethics, because without that, I don't think it's going to make it. Like I said, the broom is coming to sweep away Christianity, turn America into a giant slave labor concentration camp. I hope that doesn't happen.